Today we have another impossible story from the 2025 rookie class. A couple of years ago, DJ Giddens was a zero-star recruit, had no potential of ever playing for college, and had no offers. Except, after the head coach of the local Power 4 school saw him play against his son, he ended up getting his chance. He would get a late offer to go to Kansas State, and then became one of the best running backs in school history for the Wildcats. He followed in the footsteps of Deuce Vaughn, and now he's a rookie with the Indianapolis Colts, who's apparently making a lot of noise and could play early on there. In today's video, we're going to continue my Rookie Spotlight series, as we're going to talk about the insane rise of DJ Giddens. How did this guy go from getting one offer to now being a 5th round draft pick, and also just how good he was with K-State. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, top pick, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about the insane rise of DJ Giddens. So in order to understand how he got to this point, let's first go back in time. Despite all of the rankings, there are zero-star recruits who realize their dreams and make it to the NFL. They prove that rankings mean absolutely nothing, and that the only thing that really matters is what happens on the field. DJ Giddens grew up in Junction City, Kansas, which is a small city of about 20,000 people in the middle of Kansas that a lot of college football recruiters drive right through on their way to bigger cities, rather than stopping. He said, quote, "Where I played football, where I come from, you're not going to see anybody do certain things. Nobody was going D1, nobody was the best in the country. When you get to the next level, everybody was the best in the country, and you kind of doubt yourself a little bit because you weren't around all of that." Growing up, Giddens could always be found outside, as while many kids their age spent countless hours glued to their TV, Giddens wanted to be out in nature. He loved fishing more than anything, and developed a deep love for it, and he'd spend a ton of time casting out his line onto a local creek, lake, or pond. While fishing had always been Giddens' first love, he eventually fell in love with the game of football. He was drawn to the running back position right away, playing for the Junction City Junior Jays for several years. Giddens began to excel as a running back in middle school and wanted to see how far football could take him. Giddens was enrolled at Junction City High School and immediately saw some varsity snaps as a freshman. While the snaps were limited, he took his freshman season to learn about the game and waited for his opportunity. However, Giddens did not play football for Junction City as a sophomore. It's unclear why he didn't play, but he just never did. Giddens did return to the team as a junior, ready to contribute in any way he could. Unfortunately, he would miss most of his junior season due to an injury, and when he did return, he did not emerge as the starter until near the end of the season. With 3 years of high school down and little to show for it on the field, a future in football seemed out of the picture. He'd have to shine on both sides of the ball to give him any chance of playing collegiately, and he was a zero-star recruit and had received no offers after his junior season. He had not put much on film and did not participate in 7-on-7 camps, and this drastically hurt his exposure. There were also questions about whether Giddens would have the grades to qualify academically, and overall it was just a mess. With no film available and uncertainty surrounding his performance in the classroom, most D1 schools decided to pass on Giddens. The thought was he would need to attend junior college to improve his grades, and if he wanted to pursue a future in football, and luckily Kansas has plenty of them. Setting his sights on Butler Community College in El Dorado, Kansas, however, there was one Division I school that was intrigued by Giddens' potential, and they were just down the street. After having a senior season in which he had 1,300 yards and 30 touchdowns, he had made a name for himself. He also ran for 216 yards in the 6A state title game against Derby, and K-State head coach Chris Kleiman saw Giddens play against his son at Manhattan High School and was impressed with how the running back moved on the field. Kleiman told Giddens that if his grades improved and his play took the next step, that he would have a home at Kansas State. Knowing he could play at K-State was all the motivation Giddens needed, as he placed a premium on his studies, focused on his schoolwork more than he ever had, and received A's and B's his senior year, raising his GPA high enough to be eligible. Giddens made the most of his opportunity, and he had done well on the field and in the classroom, and K-State's running back coach Brian Anderson thought he was the real deal. They would decide to extend an offer in May of 2021, giving the zero-star recruit a shot. When asked if he ever thought he'd go D1, he said, quote, "Not really. I didn't have too many people recruiting me out of high school. Kansas State was the only school, and it happened last minute. They believed in me when not too many people were recruiting me, and my grades were low, and they gave me an opportunity, and I appreciate it." He was a zero-star recruit from Junction City, Kansas, and now would get his chance in Manhattan, just a few miles down the road. So, how would he end up doing? After being at the bottom of Kansas State's 2022 recruiting class, nobody thought about him. He was offered as a preferred walk-on with little fanfare and little chance of a professional career. Arriving at K-State and joining the program was a bit of a culture shock for Giddens, as the playbook was just more complex than anything he had ever experienced. He also learned how to watch film for the first time and apply what he saw in film to the field. Having less experience than most at this level, it took him a while to adjust, and that's why he was redshirted in 2021 by K-State, as he grasped what it meant to be a collegiate student-athlete. But heading into the 2022 season, many were wondering who would become the running back behind Deuce Vaughn. After a full spring and summer workouts, one name was starting to rise above the rest: redshirt freshman DJ Giddens. Kleiman said that Giddens was a physical running back that was still learning how to play, and after the mental side of the game started to click, he really blossomed. In 2022, Giddens would get on the field a little bit, rushing the ball 89 times for 518 yards and 6 touchdowns. Honestly, that was pretty good for just being a redshirt freshman, and he had a couple of notable games. He had 78 yards and a touchdown against West Virginia, 58 and a touchdown against Baylor, and then in their bowl game against Alabama, he also had 67 yards. Things were looking solid for him, and with Deuce Vaughn off to the 2023 NFL Draft, Giddens was now given the chance to take over. It was an opportunity he had been working for the last 2 years, and while others would have opted to transfer, he stayed loyal to the only school that would give him a shot. He said, quote, "In my head I'm thinking, why leave? I have no reason to leave at all. There wasn't any point in me going anywhere else, and I can do everything at K-State I could do anywhere else. Plus, it's a good program." Yeah, Giddens would burst onto the scene in 2023 and did not look back. He'd end up having a really good game against SEMO as he went for over 100 yards. Then a couple of weeks later against UCF, he had his welcome to college football moment. Against the Knights, he ended up running the ball 30 times for 207 yards and 4 touchdowns. This was absolutely nuts, as he was named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, and he also had 80 yards, and he also had 8 catches for 86 yards out of the backfield. It was one of the best single-game performances in Kansas State football history, and K-State head coach Chris Kleiman said, quote, "We challenged DJ, and we said we're going to give you the football, and you need to step up." Giddens would continue to step up for the rest of the year, as he had nearly 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against Houston, nearly 100 yards and a touchdown against TCU, and then to finish the year, he went off. He had over 100 yards against Baylor, 100 yards against Kansas, and 114 yards against Iowa State. K-State would end up making a bowl game, and they would play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against number 18 NC State. In his final game of the 2023 campaign, Giddens would go for 151 yards with both a touchdown on the ground and through the air. He was now a star, as he was an honorable mention All Big 12 for the 2023 season, and decided to come back for 2024. Despite everyone talking about Dylan Edwards, who had transferred home to play with Avery Johnson, Giddens led the way. He had over 100 yards in their first 2 games against both Tulane and UT Martin, and then had a touchdown in their win over number 20 Arizona. Unfortunately, he'd have a bad fumble and a loss to BYU, but they were going to lose that game regardless. He then had 187 yards against Oklahoma State, 182 yards against Colorado, and 2 touchdowns against West Virginia. The Wildcats were now 6-1, and were having an opportunity to march to the college football playoff potentially. But after 100 yards against Kansas, K-State would fall off. They'd lose 3 of their last 4 regular season games, as one of them was a bad loss on the road to Houston, then the others were against Arizona State and Iowa State, the 2 teams who ended up in the Big 12 championship. Giddens, though, did well. He had 133 yards against the Sun Devils, 143 yards against Cincinnati, and then 72 yards against Iowa State. He had once again completed another good season, as he ran the ball 205 times for 1,343 yards and 7 touchdowns, plus 21 catches for 258 yards and a touchdown out of the backfield. Things had gone really well for him, as he finished 3rd in school history in rushing yards with 3,087, 2nd in yards per attempt with 5.97, and was the 4th running back in school history to have multiple 1,000-yard rushing campaign. Despite having another year of eligibility, he felt confident in his skill set and what he was able to accomplish at K-State, and the NFL called his name, and now he would have a chance to get drafted. What's also interesting is that he also battled an injury last year, but not many people really talk about that. At the Combine, he showed off his athleticism, posting a 4.47 40-yard dash, a 39.5-inch vertical, and just showed he was athletic enough to play at the NFL level. He was a 6-foot, explosive running back, and he also had the hands that NFL teams love. The modern NFL has moved to a point where running backs need to both be receivers and running backs, and Giddens definitely checks both of those boxes. Many expected him to go in day 3, and that is exactly what would happen. He'd go at pick number 151 in the 5th round to the Indianapolis Colts, and this gives Indianapolis a pass-catching weapon out of the backfield that Shane Steichen has coveted throughout his first couple of years as a head coach. When Giddens was asked what he could bring to the Colts offense, he said, quote, immediate productivity. Indianapolis tried to hand the backup job to Trey Sermon or Tyler Goodson last year, only to find out the combination was not up to the task. Giddens will be asked to be the second-string running back right away, behind superstar Jonathan Taylor, and he'll have a great player to mentor him. As I said, this is a great position for Giddens to be in, as he had 72 targets in the passing game over the last 2 years at K-State, and the Colts offense could greatly benefit from having a passing presence out of the backfield. I'm not really sure who's going to be the quarterback for the Colts long term, but I don't think Giddens cares. He's going to run when the ball is handed off to him, and he's going to try to catch it when it's thrown to him. For a guy who was a preferred walk-on coming out of high school with no offers after his junior year, he's done well for himself. He became one of the best running backs in Kansas State football history, and now has a good opportunity in the NFL. What more can he really ask for? I don't know. But what do you guys think? If you're a K-State or a Colts fan, what do you think of DJ Giddens? How do you think he will do this year? And which rookie should I spotlight next? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you can support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out one of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.